There she is, the amazing Brandy Thigpen. Now, Brandy, are you calling me from Miami or Los Angeles? Where
Los
are you at right
Angeles.
now? You're in Los Angeles right now. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, Brandy, as I was trolling you, I see that you went to USC back in the day, and just so you know, my daughter is in trying to get into that school. So if you could call someone over there and give her a good word, Brooklyn Starkey, that would be amazing. She's trying to get into film school, top film school in the country. So just a quick plug for in that world would be amazing.
I actually didn't go to school at USC. I worked at USC in special
Oh,
events back in the day. So, but I'll still see
bet
what I can do. They're just down the street.
right, better. That's even a better situation because as the special event person, you have a lot of leverage. You know the professor. Just drop a name or something. You know, it's all good. It's all good.
Absolutely.
Um,
Good luck to your daughter.
Thank you, thank you. So for our listeners, Brandy is an amazing. I hate to even use the word events because she's done the Mac Daddy of events from Super Bowls to MLB All Stars to NHL All Stars to even most recently March Madness in terms of providing those platforms on behalf of her bank to execute those amazing opportunities. And just to call her an event producer kind of, in my eyes, discredits the value that someone like Brandy brings to the table. She's truly the linchpin that holds all the cards for making those events happen. So, first of all, before we tap into our question, with your varied past, how much pressure, because our top three, this is called Top Three Thursday, and it's dedicated to the event professionals who literally have the most stressful job out there outside of the military or being a fireman or police officer. But executing events at this level brings a whole new level of stress, right? And so tell me, first of all, when you started tapping into it, we want to know the cathartic ways that you release that stress. You must be working out all the time, or hopefully the alcohol is staying far away from you during those events. But what are you doing to get rid of that stress?
It's such a good question. And I do really focus on myself when time allows. I'm a single mother too, to a almost 13-year-old who really watches me too. He watches the work that I do. He sees how I work at home and when I'm away. And I work out 4 days a week. It's very important to me. I just up until a couple of weeks ago, I had not missed one single workout in 25 months straight. I drink a lot of water. Another thing that's very important. I drink about a gallon of water a day. I sleep. Sleep is important when I can.
Yep.
Obviously, on show day, you may be working. I've worked 18-hour days. I've worked 22-hour days. So there's not a lot of sleep on those days. But taking care of myself when the opportunity allows is super important. But I work really great under pressure. I was also a college tennis player. I played all 4 years of college. And that's a situation where it's an individual sport, but it's a team sport. If the individuals don't win their matches, the team doesn't win the total at the end of the day, right? So that kind of set me up for this level of stress in the workforce.
I love it. I love it. And we have about 70,000 followers that follow our platform, and a great majority of them are in the planning hospitality industry. And they all say, their dream, I want to be part of doing a Super Bowl. I want to be part of one of those high-end events. So what was your journey to get to that level of producing?
I went to a very small private school in Tennessee. The reason I point out that it was a very small school is that my program, I have a degree in sport management. There were only probably 50 students in my program. So I wasn't competing with a sport management program, maybe like the University of Tennessee, that probably has hundreds of students. I didn't have to compete with a lot of students. My professor was there to help me and guide me along the way. And networking is really important to me. And I started that at the collegiate level. So I tapped into my department head's network to get my internship. The owner of the Tennessee Titans sat on the board of the school that I went to. I got an internship. My first was with the Nashville Predators at the Gaylord Entertainment Center. And then I did a little bit of work with the Tennessee Titans. And one of my last couple of months or weeks of my internship, I was doing WWE in Nashville. And we had a situation where we were in the building until about 3 o'clock in the morning. I got there at 5 o'clock the day before. I was still in the same clothes. I'd been at work for 22 hours and as an intern. And the guy said, "So you're an intern, huh?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, what are you doing after you graduate? I said, I've applied for jobs all over the United States. I'm willing to go wherever work will take me. He said, have you had any interviews? I said, I have. I interviewed for a place in Corpus Christi, Texas. And he said, oh, wow, what's it called? I said, the American Bank Center. He said, one of my best friends is the GM there. And a few short weeks later, WWE called to congratulate me on my job at the American Bank Center. I had not even been offered the job at the American Bank Center. I knew before I knew. And I've built my career just around, I tell people all the time, if I were the CEO of McDonald's, I want to know how to fry the French fries and the chicken nuggets and build the Big Mac. Because if I'm going to be your leader, I need to understand every role within my company so that I can support you. And that's how I've built my career. My goal was a Super Bowl or the Olympics, or to be the general manager of, crypto.com arena in downtown LA for the Los Angeles Lakers. So I started with a dream, and then I kind of took the puzzle apart and just started building my career in the industry.
An amazing story and journey. And do you talk about this? Have you been invited to conferences, MPI, ILEA, any of those, to talk about that journey to get to that level?
Absolutely. I am. As a matter of fact, I'm speaking at MPI on Thursday. The Southern California chapter has their WeCon, the big conference in Newport Beach, starting tomorrow. So I'll be there as a preferred planner. They do a preferred planner program. I speak on podcasts. What I prefer to do the most is to mentor college students. A lot of people don't understand that this work exists. You go to a concert, you go to a sporting event, you see the chairs on the floor, you see, the barricades and things, but you don't understand how we got to that point. And work doesn't feel like work for me. I have a passion for traveling, sports, and I love to eat. And so now I get paid to travel to sporting events. I eat well while I'm there, and it's a good avenue. And I want more students to understand that this is available to them.
I love it. I love your passing on your journey to so many that are wanting to break into this industry. And you're absolutely right. So many people don't even know it exists. My background from the Disney days to whatever it was, I tell people all the time, going from New York to Disney to starting my own event production company as well I'm blessed because I'm not the smartest dude in the world, but I'm really good about surrounding myself with very smart people. So that's my mojo. That's my mojo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and by the way, I'm a big water drinker as well. I have to send you the hydro bottle. I don't know if you drink hydrogen water yet, but it's super trendy. I'm gonna send you one because it takes away the inflammation. It fills me with energy, and someone in your position needs a little. Because I'm assuming you don't do the energy drinks, right? You're not an energy drinker.
I try not to. I'm not a big coffee drinker either. You know that it's a long day if I've got an energy drink or coffee in my hand.
Heard. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'll drink a C4 or a Total War until I'm blue in the face. And I know it's bad for me, so I'm not even going to talk about that anymore. But I'm going to send you some hydro. Okay, here's the question, because knowing you produce these, granddaddy events, there are so many opportunities and, of course, so many vulnerabilities, not only in your industry, but also with the people that you work with. So first question is, from descending order all the way up to 3, 2, 1, is what are the greatest opportunities that planners, producers have producing events like the Super Bowl? What is the greatest opportunity for an event producer to integrate with other business associates, networks, just what you learn? I mean, it must be crazy what you learn. So, and I think that's something that our listeners really want to know, those opportunities. What happens when you experience something like that?
For me, in my role, I really play a dot connector role. I'm coined kind of a Los Angeles expert, where everybody is almost my client. The community is my client. The NFL is my client. The city of LA is my client. And in my role, I would travel to, let's say, Miami for 2020 for the Super Bowl and survey that landscape. And then it was my job to come back and tell the NFL how to make that fit into Los Angeles real estate. We're not only planning on how to fit into the real estate, but we're talking about where are the friends and families going to stay? Where are the parties going to be? How is a football team? If you're playing for the world championship, you're not going to stay at the hotel that's right next door to the stadium that you're playing in, because who's going to be staying right next door? The fans. You don't want fans mixing with the team, right? So a lot of the times the football teams are paying, or the teams are staying, further away from the venues. So it's my job to make sure that not only that the landscape plays out, but also that the teams have what they need and that they're having their needs met, that their food and beverage is where it's supposed to be, that the city is decorated to showcase and welcome fans. As a fan, when you get off of the airplane and you step into Los Angeles for the Super Bowl, you've probably spent a lot of money to be here and you want the city to be decorated to welcome you, right? But then you also have to think about the local community. The local community is really kind of interrupted a little bit, right? When an event like the Olympics or the Super Bowl is coming to your city, traffic is going to be bad. You're not going to have access to that venue, and you're likely not going to have access to the game. So it's also important for us to create ways and experiences for the local community to be involved and not feel like they're being pushed to the side, that they're a part of this at the end of the day, that the economic impact is going to affect them in a positive way also.
That's job number one for you, to make sure that that influence is there every step of the way. Number two, opportunity. Actually, let's go to the vulnerability. I'm going to go back and forth. So the number three, vulnerability of producing an event at that level. Just give me one.
Oh man, anything can go wrong.
Right, right. Can you give us a story? Can you give us a story, Brandy?
Absolutely. So in 2015, we welcomed 240,000 people from 164 countries to our city for the Special Olympics World Games. This is an event that does not have an organizing committee like the Olympic and Paralympic Games. So every host city that hosts this event every 4 years, opposite the Olympics, has to create the event from scratch. There's no team that travels. You build a team, you figure it out. And we had a couple of years to figure it out. And I tell you, it took every day up until the very beginning to figure it out. But we had a transportation company. These are athletes with intellectual disabilities. They're coming from all over the world. We had a transportation company sitting at LAX waiting for these athletes to get off of the bus or to get off of the plane. The buses were going to pick them up and take them out to their respective hotels and wherever all over Southern California where they were staying. I get a phone call, and this is probably day 2 of really Special Olympics starting, like the really production days of the games. I get a phone call at 7:00 at night. The transportation company that was at LAX, their drivers are union. You can only drive for so much time. It doesn't matter if you're sitting and waiting. This transportation company did not monitor the flights. We all know if you travel, that flights get delayed. There are some mishaps.
And they took off.
The shuttle drivers took off. They left. They left hundreds of
That community. That kind of community as well. Wow, that is crazy. Tell me what you did. What was the solution on all this?
My first comment, I'll never forget it. This was one of my big senior vice presidents at the time. I was a director. My senior vice president was the one who called me, and she said, "I'll be awake with you until this is resolved." And her name was Patty. And I said, "Patty, I drive a Land Rover. I can maybe get 4 or 5 people in my car." I don't know. I can be there. I can help shuttle people back and forth. But some of these hotels were an hour away, because the games were all over Southern California. They weren't just in LA County. So I got on the phone with taxi companies, with city buses, school buses. School was out at the time. So I was trying to find school buses, anybody that who would answer the phone that had any kind of capacity to transport these athletes. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the Red Cross had to come in, and we had to set up stations at universities that were closer to LAX to house them just until we could get enough transportation to get them to their hotels.
You still created that solution, and out of curiosity, how many people were on your team when that went down?
It was a team of the DMO, the Destination Marketing Organization, that the city who I represented. So I was kind of the representative from my department for that event. And then my senior vice president, and then I had city officials. I had people from the Sports and Entertainment Commission. Plus I had people from Special Olympics World Games, the organizing committee. And we all just put our heads together and
dug in.
We just dug in. We did what we could
Yeah.
do, and we executed. We did it. And that was one of, to this day, is probably the best event, even with that headache. I went to bed at 3:30 in the morning and my phone started ringing at 4:42 the next morning. Not
Wow.
a 2-week event. So sleep was important, and there was no
Right.
sleep that night, but it was still a successful event. I don't know if you're familiar or not, but that was the first time in history ESPN actually televised the Special Olympics World Games. You now see Special Olympics on ESPN thanks to Los Angeles and the 2015 Special Olympics World Games. So I
Mhm.
think it was quite successful. We did it. Even with that little black cloud, we did it.
Dude, that's amazing. I just a quick little quip. That stress is real. My team was part of the producing the Super Bowl in San Francisco, and with the Broncos, the ring ceremony, everyone's about to open up their box. All 75 peeps with the players and admin staff, and the keys were not placed next to the box. So the big unveil capturing on ESPN, and the keys were nowhere to be found. So they were in a different office. So we got a pair of wire cutters and started cutting the boxes so they could get the rings. And Shannon Sharp is making fun of
Also,
the, well, where are the keys? It was so talk about stress. And your solution probably was a lot better than ours, but you got to dig in, you got to make it happen, right? I love it.
yeah,
I
you
love
got
it.
to do what you got to do. And that's what this industry is all about. And I'll tell you, I'm experienced that service levels are not the same today as they once were. And I don't really know why that is. I don't know if it's generational. I don't know if we're not training our replacements properly. I don't really know what it is, but that's the kind of service that we need in this industry. And that's something that I stress so much, that if you don't want to help and if you don't want to do what it takes and get your hands dirty. I started in this industry my first day of work. I walked in with high heels on and my nails done and my makeup on. I felt great, right? My general manager called me into his office and he said, "You will never be respected looking like this." He said, "In this industry, it was very male dominated at the time.
Yep.
In this industry, if they want to know that if hockey ice needs to be painted, that you're going to be able to kick those heels off and go paint a hockey ice. If you need to put up hockey glass, you're going to need to do that." And that's how I started. And that's one reason why I am where I am now, is because I was never afraid to do that work, no matter the title or the salary that I carried.
The hustle's real. The hustle's real, and you represent that for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in the world of B2B, where businesses are absolutely integrating into that industry based on media, market share, all the above, I'm a future facing guy. So 10 years from now, what is that going to look like? When it's almost impossible to get tickets for the average Joe to even go based on the business buyouts, corporations are going, even the athletes are feeling it because the rally cry is not as strong as it used to be. So knowing that's happening right now, let's put ourselves 10 years down the line. What does that look like in the sporting industry?
It's interesting. Los Angeles has done something really unique that started with the Super Bowl and has since expanded to other mega sporting events. Not only the businesses, but the local businesses, the mom and pop businesses, the diverse businesses and minority owned, the LGBTQ plus, all of these businesses that may not have gotten involved in the past.
Mhm.
Los Angeles has done a really great job of getting them involved now and on in the future. And I only see this program growing. The LA Sports and Entertainment Commission started a program called Business Connect in planning the Super Bowl several years ago. They go out and approach diverse business owners in LA. They provide professional development, mentorship, and support in these businesses offering the goods and services that are needed to put on these events. So then these small mom and pop businesses that could have never touched these events are now getting the opportunity to provide the goods and services and get involved, and they're getting the publicity. Los Angeles is the host of the 2026 World Cup. The Super Bowl is coming back in 2027. The Olympic and Paralympic Games are here in 2028. And they've created this program for those businesses. So again, it's not just, the NFL and the teams who are coming in, but it's the community and the people who are really providing that real estate and the atmosphere for these games to be able to come into our city. In a city like Los Angeles 10 years from now, I think some of these businesses may be booming. I think some of the, other destinations in the United States, like maybe Miami or Atlanta, I don't know if they already have programs like this. If they don't right now, I guarantee you 10 years from now, they will, because it's successful.
Yeah.
And it's a feel good moment, right? It's a good way for the NFL to say, we're putting money into the local community, kind of a give back. So I think that's going to play a major part on some of this business development in the future.
Love it. A great answer. So opportunities that we're not aware of, and obviously being an internal expert that you are, I love what that looks like. I love the future and the mom pop opportunities as well. Love it to death. Okay, so our final question for you as we wrap up: an individual like yourself who is a high performer, done it all, been part of the biggest events that this world has to offer, what would be the next step for someone like you to take when they have already done it all? You can't get bigger than what you've already done. So, what is the next step?
I really have a goal to execute the 2028 Olympics and Paralympic Games here in Los Angeles. I built that landscape from scratch with a team. A lot of those team members have been my clients or my partners in other roles. Paris is coming up in 2024. We had a really unique opportunity when I was on the bid committee. There are certain layers to this. There's the bid committee that submits the bid to host the games. And then
Mm-hmm.
once you win the game, then the host committee is formed, and the host committee
Right.
is the one who starts, forming the games. And then there's the organizing committee, who is LA 28 at this point. But I was on the bid committee for LA 2024. We originally were bidding on the 2024 Olympics. It came down to 3 cities: Budapest, Paris, and LA. Once you get to the last 3
Mm-hmm.
remaining cities before they actually award the games, you all have the exact same requirements. When the IOC comes out for their final push, this is your final opportunity to woo them that your city is the best place for the Olympic Games. And it was something like you could take them to a sporting event, you could do a special private dinner, and there was one other thing, and it escapes me now. Well, when it came down to that, Budapest said, whoa, we can't compete with this. We can't do what LA and Paris can do. So then it came down to Paris and LA. Well, Paris and LA kind of went hand in hand. Paris had hosted the games twice. Los Angeles had hosted the games twice. 2024 would be the centennial of Paris. For LA, the 1984 Olympics to this day are still the most profitable Olympics in Olympic history. And Los Angeles didn't have to
Wow.
build any new facilities to host the Olympics. There were some red flags. Trump was looking to become our president, and his motto was, we don't want people coming into our country. So the IOC was saying, well, why would we want to bring the world to your country if you don't want us there? And then Paris was having some terrorist issues. They were under terrorist attacks at the time. So it was a very level playing field. So the Los Angeles committee came together with our political leaders, and the IOC only allows the Olympic Games to be awarded 7 years in advance. Los Angeles went to the IOC and said, look, it cost us $50 million to bid to host the Olympic Games. Why don't you award Paris 2024 or LA and award the other city 2028 and just not have to bid on the 28 Olympics again? Let's just do it now. And the IOC said, well, our rules don't allow that. The rules only allow 7 years in advance. So our political leaders said, change the rules. So they went to vote. They voted and changed the rules to allow the Olympics to be awarded 11 years in advance. Los Angeles elected to give Paris 2024. Los Angeles took 2028. The IOC committed to $160 million investing in quality sports programming for youth sports that will lead up to the games. So our city is already benefiting from the 2028 games being here, and we're almost a little over 4 years away. And so there was a huge, to make that happen and to be on that team, I now want to execute that. So that's my next goal. That's where I hope to be the next time you and I chat.
Great. Brandy, the most amazing thing about you is how strategic you are. You the strategy flowing out of you, whether it's because of all the water you're drinking or whatever it is, but the strategy flows out of you. And there's a lot of people know how to hustle, trust me, okay, in this industry. And there's a lot of people know how to work hard. A lot of people know how to do order taking. But the one thing that I've seen over and over and over again in our industry is people who are strategic. And those are the movers and shakers out there. And you are one of those movers and shakers. So I couldn't be more impressed with your journey and everything you said. And of course, being on my podcast, thank you so much. It's Top 3 Thursday, Brandy Thigpen with City Nation Bank. The thing is crazy that I can't wait to hear more about your journey later on. And you got a hydro bottle coming your way. They're not even a sponsor of this podcast, so I'm sending it to you regardless. But seriously, continued success. Can't wait to see what happens in 2028 with the Paralympics. The rest of your journey, there's big things. There she is, Brandy Thigpen. It's Top 3 Thursday. I'm Chris Starkey. We'll see you next week.